Okay, since it's exactly 3 p.m., I'm going to go ahead and start this webinar. And good afternoon, everyone. This is Shihan from New Venture Corporation. We are the organizer of the webinar today. Welcome aboard with us. Philippines has been one of the hottest solar market in Southeast Asia for the past decade. And based on the most recent national renewable energy program, Philippines government is planning to increase its solar PV deployment and boost its solar power capacity. So regarding to this market focus, during this webinar, speakers will give their opinions and interpretations on the topic of Philippines solar development, status quo, prospect, risk, and rewards, market transformation. And now I would like to give a brief introduction and a big welcome to all of our speakers for today. They are Attorney Jose M. Leac Jr., or J. Leac. He's the senior partner from Puno Law. And next one, we have Ms. Ava Wang, the senior sales manager from Trina Solar APAC region, and Mr. Chevy Santiago, the sales manager from Huawei Fusion Solar Philippines. And we have Mr. Ping Mendoza, the country manager from Climb Capital. And last but not least, we have Mr. Robert Marlon Parija, the chief operating officer from M Spectrum. So for today's webinar, we will first start with a 10 minutes technology showcase given by Ms. Ava Wang from Trina Solar, following by another 10 minutes plenary speech given by Chevy from Huawei Fusion Solar Philippines. And after that, we will begin a 45 to 50 minutes panel discussion given by all of our speakers. And the organizer of today's webinar, New Venture Corporation, we are dedicated to supporting key investors and developers for the successful development and investment in Asia-Pacific renewable energy sector. Our footprints cover Asia-Pacific countries such as Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, China, Myanmar, Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, and some Middle East countries. So one more thing before starting the webinar, I would like to introduce all attendees with some housekeeping notes here. If you experience any technical issues or you have any questions for our speakers, please do feel free to use the below Q&A box. And also, we will share the webinar recordings with all of you by next week through your registration email. Okay, so now I would like to go ahead and hand the mic to Ms. Ava Wang from Trina Solar. She will be our first speaker for today's webinar today.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to share my screen. Okay, so now can you see my full screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here to introduce Trina Solar's module technology showcase to see developer Philippines solar development. Before going to the webinar topic, please allow me to take 2 minutes to introduce our company background. Trina Solar was founded in 1997, so now total 24 years history. IPO in New York in 2006. And in 2016, we built the factory in Thailand and also established our storage business. After 2 years, we merged a Spanish company, Netleaf, and expanded the business to tracker system. And last year, we re-IPO in China for better financing ability. This year, 2021, we totally will have 50 gigawatt module capacity, and the 40 gigawatt will be our new production capacity called 210 Vertex, which is also the main thing we're gonna discuss for today. China Solar actually is well known by manufacturing our solar module, but besides, we also provide the system solution as a tracker supplier, the utility project developer, and also the smart energy system. As a module manufacturer, we total ship more than 66 gigawatts to more than 100 countries through 5 factories in China and 2 overseas factories in Vietnam and Thailand. And as a tracker supplier, we total provide more than 2 gigawatts with a factory in China and Spain. Also, we grid connected more than 5 gigawatt projects as a developer. So from this map, you can see all our factories, locations, and our main office in the whole world. Also, we also have the local representative in Philippines. And last year, we total shipped more than 15 gigawatt module, total increase 50%. And go back to the product side. So let's look back at the module technology over the last 10 years. So from this chart, you can see the module power increment from 2009 until this year, 2021. So it's total around 12 years. From here, you can see the module power from 219 now until now, China already started selling 670 watts. So it's almost a double on the module power for only short 10 years. And here's this quite interesting part that for last 10 years, from 2009 until 2019, so we can see the module power increment from 290 until 440. And every year, the increment is around 10 to 20 watts. So you can see from this red chart. But quite interesting, from 2019, from 2021, this year, only 2 years, our module power from 450 until jump to the 670. So every year, the module increment is around 50 watts. And we also predict for next year, the module increment will be 100 watts. So why these 2 years, the module increment is so huge compared to the last 10 years? So here we can see this is every year, the module technology we use from the 156, 158, until for now is 182 on the 210 technology. So the answer will be the big wafer technology. So for China Solar, we adopt the most advanced 210 silicon product technology. So it can increase the module voltage and efficiency within the shortest time to adapt to the low and low PPA rate. As well as non-destructive technology can lower the micro cracks risk for better product reliability because the module dimension will become bigger and bigger. Besides we also use multiple busbar and BB technology, which can increase the module power for 2 to 3%, and the efficiency also can increase 0.4 to 0.6%. And last year, we launched our 210 module Vertex series. From here, you can see we already launched our 400 until 670 watts. So for the 400 watts, 500 and 550 watts, they are very perfect for the residential, commercial, and the industrial projects. And also, we're gonna start selling our 600 and 660 watts this year to adapt to more competitive PPA rate for the solar farm projects. So this amazing technology has totally changed the traditional module parameter, which I will introduce later, and dramatically reduce the system BOS and LCOE to boost the solar industry. And we also have more than 40 gigawatt module capacity for 210 technology to secure the supplier. Recently, we can see the commercial and the industrial market is growing up very fast in Philippines. While there's a misunderstanding that the module voltage is higher, the better, It's not really 100% right for the rooftop project because the modules gonna install on the rooftop. Besides the wattage, we also need to consider the safety and the convenience during installation. So we launched our Vertex S for residential and the small commercial and the industry project. So here you can see the module efficiency still can reach 21.3%, which is even higher than 550 watt module in the market. Here, this is a dimension. You can see the module height already go back to 1.7 meter. Currently, I think the module in the market now is all higher than 2 meter, which is not really 100% friendly for the human height because you need to carry the module to the roof. And also the weight, we go back to 21 kilogram, which is suitable for the small project. It can balance the power, the size, and the weight perfectly. But even the wattage is 400 watt, but you can see the efficiency still higher than 410 for the 166 technology or even 550. So the smaller size make it more flexible in layout for wider applications. According to big data analysts and layout design, Vertex S have higher installation capacity on more than 80% rooftop situations. And also because in Philippines, I see majority is commercial or industry rooftops. Then we will recommend our DE17 and 18 series, 450 watt and 500 watt for the bigger rooftop project to lower the BOS. So this one is we use the 450 watt module, which is also currently the most popular product in Philippines by adopting 166 mm cell. But I have to say for this product, maybe next year it won't be the mainstream. Next year we will mainly promote our 500 watt Vertex DE18 series. So from here, this is a 500 watt. You can see the module dimension is still shorter than 2.2. So it's not the dimension, it didn't really increase a lot on the dimension side compared to the 450 watt in the market. But and the current still in keep to 12, and the VOC is around 51, which is more compatible with all the string inverter in the market now. But take an example of the 1 megawatt industry reference project. So here, compared to the 450 watt, you can save around the 1.87 cent on the BOS cost, and the installation capacity also can increase 11 to 22%. So within the limited space on the rooftop, compared to 450 watt, using 500 watt, you can have more installation capacity and a lower BOS cost. And for the bigger commercial and industrial project or utility project, 550 watt module will be the flagship module for all scenarios, while EPC or installer also need to alert it with the dimension and the weight if you install it on the rooftop. Because currently you can see for the 500 watt, not only China Solar, also other supplier, the dimension is not really friendly for the small rooftop. You can see the height is all around the 2.3, and the weight is also around the 28 or 29 kilogram. So it's much taller than the human height. But for the utility project, this will be the main product we promote for the solar farm. So let's say if you install the 500 watt module in a solar farm, different from other technology, you can see here, this is a comparison between 450 watt and the reference module 540 and the China Vertex 550 watt. The main difference, actually the module efficiency, the weight, and the dimension are similar. The biggest difference is in our VOC. You can see For China, our VOC is lower than 38, which is much lower than other modules. Others are already currently is around the 50 voltage. So for the 1,500 voltage system for solar farm, why we gonna to use 210 technology to lower the VOC? Because let's say for one string, if we using the 210 550 watts, we can connect 35 pieces in one string. So one string, the power is around 19 kilowatt. But if you're using the 182 535, because the VOC is around 49.5, so one string can only connect 27 pieces. So the string power is around less than 15 kilowatt. So the low voltage will bring the higher string power, which is around 32% more on the string power. Then we can see the BOS cost reduction can reach to 1.29 cents per watt if we test in 110 megawatt project. So here this is a case study in US using the 1,500 voltage, and the DC capacity is 110 megawatt. You can see the BOS gap is around the gap is around 1.29. Of course, compared to the 450, 500 plus watt module can really reduce the BOS. But within the similar voltage, 535 and 545, the low voltage technology can reduce around 1.29 cents per watt by reducing the module quantity, the wiring cost, cable cost, installation cost, and if you use tracker, it can also reduce your tracker cost. Besides the 550 watt module, we also gonna start selling the 600 watt and 670 watt for solar farm. Here, this is the dimension compared to the 535 watt and the other in the market, 585 watt module, 78 piece module. You can see for China, our module will be wider, but it will be shorter. So the dimension is around it's less than 2.2 and times 1.3. So weight is around 31 kilogram for monofacial. Same technology with 550. So you can see the main difference between China and others is still on the VOC. For the 600 watt more, our VOC is still lower than 38. But compare others, for the 78 piece, even though the module voltage increased from 535 to 585, so it's an increase around the 50 watt. You can see the VOC also increased a lot. The same you can see here for the 585, one string you can only connect 24 pieces. And of course, if you use the 535 watt, one string connect 27 pieces. But for China 600 watt, one string you can connect 32 pieces. The same like one string, our string power still can maintain more than 19 kilowatt, while others already dropped to 14 kilowatt, which means we can increase 37% on the string power. The same, we take example for the 15 megawatt project in Japan. The BOS reduction can reach to 12.68% by reducing the combiner box, mounting structure, DC connector, and the installation cost. But here, why this one, the BOS reduction is so huge? Because in Japan, the installation cost is very higher compared to the module cost. I think in Philippines, maybe module cost will have 40 to 50% on the total system cost, which is different from Japan. But because let's say by using 535 watt, 585 and 600 watt, due to the higher voltage, you can reduce your module quantity, then you can reduce the installation cost and even your logistic cost. And also for the 670 watt, one string, you still can connect 28 pairs, which is still higher than 540 26 pairs. So one string, the power is around more than 18 kilowatt. Same for the study case for the 100 megawatt project using the string inverter. You can see the LCOE still can save 1.2%, and the BOS can save 1.3% by reducing the cost of ranking, foundation, cable installation, and also like the logistical cost. And besides the solar panel, as mentioned earlier, China, now we also enter the tracker business. So this year, we can see the module pricing really increased a lot, which for me, I also didn't meet it for last 10 years. Then like for many developer or investor, EPC has a huge pressure on the costing, then maybe you can consider the tracker. Of course, a tracker cost will be higher than the fixed structure, but you can totally reduce the module quantity. So from here, we can see like the tracker can increase 3 to 8% on the power generation. And the LCOE, you can also reduce 2.4 to 4.5%, it depends on different areas. And the module I just introduced for the 400 watt, 500, 550, 600, and 670 watt. These are all currently is a P-type technology. And I'm glad that currently some investor or developer also is exploring the N-type like TOPCon or HJT technology in Philippines. So now, end of this year, we will also start mass production the N-type technology, which I'm sure we can also sell to Philippine market soon. All the N-type module, we will also still adopt the 210 low VOC technology. Lastly, I will share some of our project reference in Philippines for during 2014 until 2020. So this is our 63 megawatt in Luzon and 7.5 megawatt in Tarlac. Another 130 megawatt project. Okay, so here is the introduction about our product. So I will get back to. Okay.
Thank you, Awa, for your great information sharing. And now let's welcome Mr. Chevy Santiago from Huawei Fusion Solar Philippines to deliver his 10 minutes plenary speech. Let's welcome.
Thank you very much. Let me just. Thank you very much, Trina Solar, for organizing this webinar, and to all the panelists. Good afternoon, and to all the audience. Right now, I'll be presenting Huawei Fusion Solar Smart PV solution. And just to give you a brief background of Huawei as a business, we have achieved sustainable business growth from 2013 to 2020 by continuously creating values for customers, achieving last year sales revenue of $136.7 billion, which is actually 11% year-on-year growth average. And right now we're present in 170 plus countries and regions, number 49 in the Fortune Global 500, and half of our employees, 200,000 employees, are dedicated to the R&D. And so right now we are ranked in the world as number 3 in R&D investment. So while we persist in innovation of 3 core technologies, mainly power electronics, communications, and AI technologies. So this is what separates Huawei from other power electronics suppliers, is that we accelerate industry digital information in different industries, in communication, government, finance, and of course in solar PV. So we incorporate our 3 core technologies into our solutions to give better values to our customers. So as a result, we are very proud and humbling to say that for continuous innovation, we are leading the solar industry development From 2015 to 2020, we have been hailed as the #1 global inverter supplier through a third-party ranking report. And just this year, May 2021, the cumulative global shipment of Huawei has reached, the Fusion Solar Smart String Inverter has reached 175 gigawatts, more than 175 gigawatts of inverters shipped. So we have a very wide range of application, big application. The biggest one is in China with a capacity of 2.2 gigawatt, all using Huawei Fusion Solar Smart String Inverter. And in the Philippines, we have the 100 megawatt in Burgos, Ilocos Norte, waiting to be connected to the grid. And the longest installed plant is in Cabanatuan, with 10 megawatt capacity, which is has a very low failure rate of 0.2, according to the owner, and same as the General Santos City. And we also have a 20 megawatt in Tarlac City. So in the Philippines, Huawei has been established for 20 years, since 2001. We have more than 2,000 staffs hired, and 86% of them are local. So we have offices in Manila, Cebu, Tarlac, and Pasig, all over the Philippines, and was one customer experience solutions center. And we are serving 70 million Filipino through our ICT products. So we have a full range of solution in residential, commercial, and utility. For residential, from 2 kilowatt up to 10 kilowatt. Right now, we are already available in the market, the battery energy storage system for residential. And for commercial, 12 kilowatt up to 100 kilowatt inverter. And for the utility scale, we have the 215 kilowatt and the smart transformer station, 6.4 megawatt capacity. So what are the trends and challenges in the industry today? So as what Elva mentioned, the LCOE of PV has continued to decrease. From the 90s, the average cost is about 37.8. And fast forward to 2021, we believe it will be lesser than 1.6 cents per kilowatt hour. So the main factor is, of course, the module, as what I have mentioned previously. What mentioned before, the 50% of project cost is coming from the modules. So the higher the capacity of the module, wider current range, the lower the LCOE. But what else will support the module technology in a power plant? So as you can see, the system voltage contributes also to lowering the LCOE cost of a power plant, PV power plant, from 600 volts in the 90s. Now, currently, there is a 1,500 volt system, but we are now entering into the plus minus 1,500 volts system voltage, or 3,000 volts bipolar string, which we believe to be the mainstream in the PV industry. So other than that, the larger block size of typically 8 megawatt and above will also contribute to the lower BOS. And the demand for higher yield, as you can see in the earlier stage, central inverter is the mainstream. But the demand for higher yield converted the market into using smart string inverter due to its multiple MPPT and high efficiency. And lastly, the technology and the tracker, aided with AI algorithm. And so this will also help the tracker to provide more energy coming from the sunshine. So we have divided our solution into two parts. Into two solutions: the Fusion Solar 6.0 Plus and the Fusion Solar 8.0 Gemini, which is our latest solution. The 6.0 Plus is what is available in the market today. We have the Smart PV Inverter, Sun 2215 KTL H0 model, and Sun 2215 KTL H3 model, or 6.0 Plus. Higher, the H3 has a higher amp per MPPT rating, but all in all, it can support this architecture. Our solution can support bifacial plus trackers, and we have the M-bus or the monitoring bus. This is the transmission line for communication from string inverter to our smart array controller. There is no need for the RS485 cable. We will use the power line as the means of transmission of communication. And we have the transformer station and the smart array controller to control the whole plant. So all in all, this solution can provide higher yield, OPEX due to our AI integration for the smart IV curve or online diagnosis, and CapEx comparing to central solution. We have there's no need to use of the DC combiner box, and the less power cables, the smaller diameter cables is used in this solution. And there will be no need of communication cable. So means cheaper installation, less platform, and easier wiring cost. And it also has the patented anti-PID solution in this feature in our solution. And of course, the Fusion Solar Management System, which is very easy to use. So as mentioned, the Sun 2215 KTL H3 model, its maximum current for each MPPT is 100 amperes. So which means it's very capable of handling high current, high format modules from different vendors, especially from Trina Solar. It has multiple MPPT also, and it can the max input for each MPPT is 5 strings for MPPT. So it can avoid DC power supply limitation. And as seen here on the table, using the same bifacial 540 watt peak module, the 200 is also same or very close DC AC ratio. Comparing the H3 2215 KTL H3 to competitors' string inverter, our solution achieves better yield consistently. So let's go to the latest and newest solution from Huawei. This is the Fusion Solar 8.0 Gemini. And let me just give you a brief history on how Huawei is reshaping the smart PV architecture in the industry. In 2013, we have launched the 1,100 volts smart PV string inverter, which has multiple MPPT that create 2% higher yield and easier maintenance. And forward to 2016 to 2020, we have integrated the AI technology into our inverters. And also we pioneered the 1,500 volts smart PV system, which further lowered down the BOS savings to 0.8 watt, 0.8 cents per watt, sorry. And of course, the AI improved the smart IV curve diagnosis and smart grid algorithm and SDS, and support the stable operation of the grid under SCR greater than 1.5. And today, we are launching the Fusion Solar 8.0 Gemini. This is the newest solution from Huawei. It's a plus and minus 1,500 volt solar plus storage. This is a bipolar string 3,000 volt system that will further down reduce the BOS savings up to 1 cent per watt, and even support better operation of the grid greater than 1.2. And it has the ability for DC coupling and distributed solar plus storage solution, enabling PV as the mainstream. We believe that this will be the mainstream in the PV industry in these coming years. So let me explain to you the architecture of the 6.0 and the 8.0, the topology of this solution. For the 6.0 plus, as you can see, the modules has an input of 1,500 volts DC and 0 volts. And the smart string inverter, which is installed near the modules, will convert the DC voltage to 800 volts AC. So this is the typical traditional string architecture topology. And for the Fusion Solar 8.0, we have separated there are two parts of the inverter. We separated two parts. The Venus 2000 Smart String Controller, which is located near the module, and the Sun 2000 Smart PV Controller, which is located, installed near the transformer. So what it does, it still has the module strings will have still the plus 1,500 volts output. But the smart string controller or the Venus 2000 will have an output of 1,500 volts DC and minus 1,500 volts DC and 0 volts, which means you can use a significantly lesser or smaller diameter cable from the Venus 2000 to the Sun 2000, giving you a big savings in the cable cost. And it still support the DCM bus or the DC monitoring bus, wherein you will use the DC cable as for the data transmission. So it will give you about 50% savings in cable costs. So let me give you some other advantages of this solution, the Fusion Solar 8.0 Gemini. So using this solution, you can achieve up to 8.8 optimal PV array, 8.8 megawatt block. You can achieve a higher block using this solution, and then the DC AC ratio is up to 1.8. So the higher the block, as mentioned earlier, will give you contributes to lowering down the LCOE. So so this solution will provide you lower capex costs mainly from the BOS. It can match larger PV arrays to reduce the cost per watt, and a high voltage cables reduces up to 50%. So basically for this one, you can use a 120 squared aluminum cable. Compare that to the 150 squared for the traditional string inverter. So with that, you can be able to save more. And the lower OPEX, again, it's because of the smart IV curve diagnosis is still applicable in the Gemini solution with high accuracy. This is online monitoring where you can generate a report automatically within 15 minutes. So it's as modular, it's high reliability, very flexible, and easy to maintain. And it has the same higher yield increase by 2%. It reduced the DC and AC line loss. It's also compatible with smart tracker control algorithm, and it can match all high current PV modules to avoid limiting in the market up to M12 plus or 18 amperes modules it can accommodate. And also it can support the grid, and safety and reliability is still the main focus of Huawei in our solutions, up to 95% availability. So the higher string input current, the module should support, and with our solution, one inverter can match all the modules. This is a suggestion from Huawei. This our smart string controller, the Venus 2000. It has an 8 MPPT, and in one MPPT there are 2 to 4 inputs. So it can match. It's very flexible. For example, for a standard module, you can utilize all the 4 strings use in one MPPT. And for high current module, let's say M10, you can only use the three inputs, 3 strings into one MPPT. And for the higher current module, you can use 2 strings, utilize use strings into one MPPT. So it's very flexible, no problem for higher current module that is available in the market and will be available in the future. So this solution is very capable of handling. So Fusion Solar Gemini matching module evolution. So as you can see, from M2 to M12 plus, we have a chart here that can be your reference. So yeah, this is our suggestion to all the EPCs and the developer. So this solution from Huawei achieves, we aim to put more value to the customers, and through driving the support, the technology. Through technology, we support the module, what's happening in the module technology, the high capacity modules, and with our solution, it can be able to support it and further down decrease the LCOE, and also decrease the O&M cost for the customers. So this is our presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chevy, for sharing us this great information. And now it's time to start our panel discussion session, Philippine solar development status quo versus prospect, risks and rewards, market transformation. The moderator today will be Mr. Jay Layak. He's currently a senior partner at Puno and Puno Law Office. He recently served as chairman of the National Renewable Energy Board from 2016 to 2018. And Jay was the undersecretary of Philippine DOE from 2010 to 2012 and headed the Renewable Energy Management Bureau, Energy Resources Development Bureau, Energy Utilization Management Bureau, Oil Industry Management Bureau, and Legal Services. And for the panelists, we are happy to have Mr. Ping Mendoza from Climb Capital, Mr. Robert Marlon Parija from M Spectrum, Ms. Ava Wang from Trina Solar, and Mr. Shelby Santiago again from Huawei on board. I'll go ahead and hand the mic to Mr. Jay, the moderator of the panel discussion. Welcome.
Hi, Xian. Thank you very much for the introduction. Let me just, of course, introduce, because you introduced me too long. No? Let me introduce also my my partners in this session. Just to let you know, everyone who's now tuned in, Ping Mendoza, of course, a friend, is currently the country manager of Climb Capital. He brings a 14-year career in business development and marketing, and he's currently focused on clean energy transition. He is a country manager for Climb Capital, fund manager for the Southeast Asia Clean Energy Facility, or CCEF. It is a climate impact investor based in Singapore, and Ping has held leadership positions in Philippine blue chip conglomerate and was involved as well in the early growth phase of the leading solar startup. On the other hand, another friend joining us is Robert Pareja. Robert is very knowledgeable in strategic management and business model innovation with expertise in sales and marketing. And he possesses the engineering background to understand operations and align it with business objectives. He created the business plan for M Spectrum. I'd like to believe M Spectrum is now the leader, right, Robert? The renewable energy company of Meralco, and currently assumes the role of the COO of M Spectrum. All right, since we had a very long and extensive presentation from Elva and Chevy, I'd like to give Ping and Robert maybe 3 minutes each to quickly react to the presentations of Elva and Chevy. Let's start with Ping.
Sure, and thank you for that, Jay. Good afternoon, everyone. I guess from the perspective that I bring in Climb Capital, since we're more of an investor rather than a developer, it's interesting to see when you look at solar development in the country, it's like a game of hectares and inches, where at the early stage, you focus on land acquisition or like site selection, but then when you go into EPC construction, all the improvements in innovation and technology really comes down to the minute details that clearly from the presentations of Chevy and Elva has improved in the past few years. You're seeing them, look at how customers, I was struck by Elva's sharing of there should be a different dimension for panels used for smaller installations versus large installations. And those differences in inches or like centimeters for this case is very important, I guess, in how that's moving. And like I said, hectares and inches in solar, because there's many aspects to this industry and there's many ways people can really come into this and then push it forward.
All right, thanks, Ping. Robert, your 3 minutes.
Yep. From a developer and EPC partner standpoint, sometimes we always concentrate on the price per watt of panels and the price of inverters. But I believe that the devil is in the details, right? The balance of system is very much as important as the major components. And if there's a way for us to optimize the cost of the balance of system, then from a CapEx standpoint, It will reduce the capex, therefore producing or resulting to a lower levelized cost of energy, and ensuring that the plant maintains its reliability on the long run. We need technological advancements to protect the investment from short-term failure, because what we want to happen, I think every EPC wants to happen, is that the investment from year zero is stretched. The life of that investment is stretched, resulting to minimize the maintenance cost, replacement cost of equipment, so that of course it's part of maximizing the profitability of the project. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Let me start asking questions. No, I was interested in the common statements made by Elva and Chevy about LCOE having gone down to about 1.6 cents per kilowatt hour, and that price has become a challenge, no, for you. Why is that? Are you telling us it's too low to make it a profitable business, or it's just that there is more competition nowadays? I'll start off with Elva.
Thank you. Actually, like what Mr. Robert said previous, because for the solar farm project in Philippines, I think the last time the prosper times should be around 2014 or 2015. So it's already a long time ago. It's already, I think, how many years? 7 years earlier. So at that time, we still sell around, I think, 300 watt module at that time. But now our module is already double within the 7 years. But unfortunately, due to the policy or due to the many issues, we didn't manage to ship this advanced technology to Philippines. So that's why we also wanted to arrange this kind of seminar to share the latest technology as well as the mindsetting on the developer or investor side. Of course, for the solar system, module is the main part because the cost is around 40 to 50% in the total cost. But the issue is currently in the future, module, we will have different technology. Of course, inverter the same. Just that's why like Huawei can bring the string inverter becomes the mainstream for now differ from the central inverter, even so the central inverter pricing will be much lower. Same with the module. So not only because the brand currently, like the module, different module, you using different technology, you will have different BOS cost. So this is a new topic for the future projects. You can not only see, oh, this module, this is 30 cents and that one is 25 cents. So I should use a 25-cent module. Of course, we need to, for the developer, of course, you need to check the bankability and reliability, as well as how much the BOS cost it will have if you're using different module technology. Because for me, I'm only selling module, but for the EPC and the investor, you should look at the total LCOE and the BOS. So that's why you can see these 2 years, actually the LCOE is a very hot topic in every webinar, because everyone now is start look at the from the full picture, not only from the components. Yeah, but honestly to say, I'm not sure like currently how much is the LCOE is considered as how to say competitive or something, because it's for us it's a long time that we didn't really start the very big project in Philippines. Yeah, so maybe this one I think we should calculate again to see the how much is the installation cost now. I'm sure the installation cost also should be much lower compared to previous. and the inverter cost is the same. They also contribute a lot. And for module, I think our module pricing already at least 60% off compared to 7 years ago. Yeah, so for sure we will contribute a lot for the new development on like even no FIT or no PPA in current situation, but still the solar project in especially in Philippines, in the Western market, it can also boost. Yeah, but for the LCOE, I cannot reply like, oh, how much LCOE you consider the good one, because for Philippines, especially some areas, we are doing every project different from other Southeast Asia, not like Malaysia, Vietnam, or Thailand, because Philippines, the area, lots of area are flood area or like the storm area. So we need to take a responsibility to do the evaluation to see whether this module, even though it can help you to save the money, but whether it really suitable for these places or not. Because I think in last few years, we see many projects like brought away by the storm or by the flood, which is, I think it's not acceptable for the reliability. Yeah.
Okay. Chevy, why is LCOE at 1.6 cents a challenge in your view?
Actually, my slide actually it says the trend of the LCOE is around 1.6 cents per kilowatt hour. It's a global trend that it's a general information that we got based on survey. And if you can see the slide a while ago, there's a graph going up, and it's a number that actually it's a number that is already happening in other parts of the world, not only in the Philippines. So it's more on the average cost per kilowatt. But the main reason is that it's already happening. And it will further down, further decrease in the future, because as you know, every manufacturer like Trina and Huawei, we focus on this. We focus on the LCOE, including the O&M, including the availability, the failure rate. So the long-term installation cost, long-term operation of the power PV plant is considered in this. So this is our basically this is what we are investing in terms of the technology, and we don't want to be looked at from Huawei's point of view. We don't want to be looked at as just a converter from DC to AC. We want to be looked at as a solution provider in terms of giving the best value. Of course, the sun is there; it's abundant and it's unlimited. But how are we going to convert that efficiently and to make it usable and to bring down the cost is our main focus.
Okay, thank you, Chevy. Elva, I saw your list of projects, no, from Calatagan to Tarlac and to the largest solar plant in the Philippines. That's 132 megawatts in Cadiz. And the provider, of course, is Trina. Despite all the challenges, Elva, what's the secret behind Trina's success here in the Philippines?
What's the Of course, like what I said, for now, module for last, I think 20 years, many company come and go. You can see different every year. Every people will look at who will be the number one for this year. And we can see previous, we have many number one, but now maybe you cannot see already. So this is a very sad story, but it's also make solar is a very popular topic. Yeah. So first of all, for me, I think stability is very important. Doesn't mean you definitely need to be number one for every year. It's to be honest, it's very tough to be champion yearly. Yeah. So that's why, like for us, mostly is whether it's a stable brand. So I think this is also what especially the investor will look at. Once, let's say you're gonna sell the project or do the O&M, then you cannot find this supplier, right? So this is secondly is for the bankability. So like for Trina, why last year 2020 we also go back to the China IPO. It's also for the better financing ability. especially from 2019. Every year we need to upgrade the equipment for the new technology. Like we from 166 technology to 210, we need to buy the brand new equipment. And in the future, we're also gonna to use the TopCon or HJT N-type. This all needs a very strong financing ability. So I also think China is also a very stable company with a financing ability. Yeah, and then third is I think the local service. No matter how big is a company, but it's very far, you know, comparing to you guys, we are still foreign company. Yeah, of course, we will always make sure we have the local representative in Manila. Of course, we cannot make sure every representative is qualified. From the company side, we will always make sure customer who bought Trina before has a local contact window to contact. Of course, our HQ is always open. Yeah, so but this is more convenient. Then another thing is how you do the technology adventures. Like I still remember previous our solar system is all like a 1,000 voltage. Yeah, but now we cannot see it in solar farm. Already now it's all 100 or 1,500 voltage. Maybe in the future it's 2,000 or 3,000. We don't know. But that's why like for China, we always try to find a new way to break this old mindset thing to see that many people say, oh, 210 is very new. But for sure, but only within, because we only mass production our 550 in November. Until now, it's only 9 months, but we already have 16 gigawatt order for this one. I have to see it's very innovative, and it's also it's a very good step, and also we can see it's a historical step for the solar industry. So I'm sure like for the investor or EPC will also welcome this kind of stable with a new technology innovative company. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Elva. You're very modest. You're not happy with 16 gigawatt of orders. No? It's good. It's a good sign. Ping, you know, I'm a big fan of CCEF because it's the only platform that provides pre-development funding for startup solar companies. Just for the benefit of all those who are tuned in, Ping, what exactly do you look for as a profile of these small developers who may go to you and seek development funding?
Sure, and I'm happy to take that on, Jay. I think, like you said, as a climate impact investor, we try to go an early stage where most private investors are hesitant because simply because sometimes projects at the early stage, while there may be potential, in the Philippines, typically you need a PPA to be bankable. You need solid control of your site, locked in lease agreements or purchasing the land if possible. Also, given 60-40 restrictions, a strong local partner is typically a good sign for financiers later down in the development curve, right? So CCEF, as incubated by the European Climate Foundation, we're actually backed by several large foundations and philanthropic groups. And more recently, we added Microsoft as a large corporate that really the motivation was climate impact. And we hope to use this money to bridge that gap wherein, you know, at an early stage, it might be just pre-feasibility. A developer has an idea that, hey, this site might make sense for solar, but we all know there's many steps to take, right? And for us to be, I guess, not only interested, but excited to work with a potential partner, there has to be, one, a clear view to success. We believe that while solar in general is good, it won't create the climate impact if it does not translate to a working operating asset. Also, two, since CCEF is just focused on the early stage, we hope to exit as soon as private capital is already interested in the project. It means we've done our job, right? So if we're able to see that, you know, there's a credible project plan, there's a budget that's already envisioning a path to success, but also there's a track record of the developer that shows that they've done this before, or at least really know how to get things done. And we can see this being interesting to further on investment from other bigger sources of capital, then that's something that I think we balance when we assess projects.
And Ping, any minimum capacity and maximum funding that you have for your funding purposes?
We don't really have a minimum, simply because we're more development capital. So we kind of understand that, you know, a 100 megawatt project may need the same development budget as like a 20 megawatt project. So the bigger the better. But for now, we're constrained to about maybe $1 million, $1.5 million US dollars in our ticket size.
All right. Robert, I'm sure you've been very busy over the pandemic because, as you know, everybody stayed home. And, you know, the temperature, the weather in the Philippines, except recently it's been raining. But the past a year and a half, you know, has been a challenge, you know, for a lot of the electricity consumers. And I'm sure you will confirm that there has been an uptick in demand, right, for solar rooftop systems. Did you see that in M Spectrum's model? Did you start getting more orders?
Yes, definitely. It's you know, the pandemic has created a lot of problems to not just to businesses, but on a personal level, our families, our friends. But it also created opportunities. And I can attest to that. The demand for solar home packages has increased tremendously during this time of the pandemic, because a lot of people have been working from home. So the consumption of a household has increased. The kids learned to use their laptops, learned to use Microsoft Teams at an early age. And you know, the utilization of computers and even air conditioners at home has increased dramatically. And you know, although a lot of companies have laid off people, I'm proud to say that Spectrum, we are actually hiring more people, you know? And we need human capital to meet the demands of the market, our customers. And well, we are actually at a growth trajectory right now.
And Robert, given the surge in demand, if I'm sure we have a lot of consumers here, if they call M Spectrum, how quick can you install solar rooftop systems on their rooftops?
You know, we can finish construction in 5 days for a typical 5 kilowatt system. Okay, and don't worry about your net metering. We can get your net metering in 30 days. Okay, the challenge, however, is really documentation. To the documentary requirements of the LGU, of the distribution utility, and sometimes that's where the challenge is. But everything, assuming that everything is in good order, you can get your net metering in 30 days.
Okay, that's I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of calls in the next hour, just to be sure that they can. You know, Robert, I doubled my electricity consumption. I'm paying now double the price after the pandemic started. No, primarily because, as you said, all kids, everybody's just home. You know, using the AC, their laptops. No, so it has hit us. I don't know if you're willing to share, Robert. How much now is the rate of return? In how many years can they get their investment back for having rooftop solar systems now?
Okay, conservatively, it's between 4 to 5 years. Okay, but if you are residing within the Meralco franchise area, if you enroll in Meralco's peak off-peak program, wherein your daytime consumption from the grid will be, well, a little bit more expensive, but you have solar during the daytime, And then at nighttime, during the off-peak hours, you can enjoy of off-peak rates. So you can recover the investment. Total savings will result to a return on investment of around what, 3 years?
Oh,
That's a huge improvement, Robert. Just to let everyone know, they were supposed to install a system in my home until the pandemic hit us. No? So we've not been able to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I was personally the one who inspected your house.
I know. But then we could not construct. One of the Robert, one of the things I realized, no, it's not as easy as just putting the solar panels on your rooftop, no. And one of the things that M Spectrum did was visit my house and check the state of my roof, no. And obviously they had to quote as well some improvements, no, in the infrastructure, no. So that's what M Spectrum provides. They will not just install the panels, no, in your homes. They will check it to make sure that it can be installed. Anyway, we have a few more minutes to finish this Q&A. Let me ask one question to everybody. Now, we've heard, of course, presentation from the suppliers and the solutions provider in Elva and Chevy. And then, of course, for the financier in Ping and the developer in Robert. Now, I'm sure, and I heard this from Elva, no? While she has 16 gigawatt of orders worldwide, she's not too happy, and primarily not too happy that she's not getting a lot of orders from the Philippines, I suppose. No? And she mentioned a lot of challenges. Now, let me ask this one final question to each one. What do you think should government do so that we can have more installation of solar panels, not just ground mounted, but also rooftop systems? No? And let me start just to finish it off, 2 minutes for each speaker. Let's start with Elva. Elva, what should government do so we can have more solar?
Honestly to say, I think the process is very long to apply different permits, like the land, how you convert the land. It takes a long time for the solar farm, and even for the rooftop, for the net metering. I think Philippines should be the longest for the process to apply. Yeah, because it's, let's say it's 5 kilowatts or 10 kilowatts. It should be has some standard SOP for this one. Yeah, because it can also contribute to the earth. Yeah, and also for the financing part, I think maybe Mr. Ping understand. Yeah, it take how to say, during the loan, I didn't really see many developers unless they use their own money. But we all know it's not really easy to all use the money, but maybe the bank loan process also maybe more complicated, because I didn't really involve in it. About from the supplier side, I can see from the project pre-development until to development side, it maybe takes 3 to 5 years. So which is quite impossible for other markets. So like for the other permits, maybe the government can try to make it more simple. Also, like not only for the solar farm, except the ground project, like we also have floating project. Currently, we also didn't see the progress. I think only one small demo floating project in Philippines. But actually, I think last month for us, China, we just COD 160 megawatt project in Singapore for the floating, which is also considered one of the biggest floating project. Like in Philippines, because we understand that it's quite hard to acquire the land, the good land. But maybe you can try for the floating project, and the process or the land conversion may be different. So why not we also have this kind of SOP for this one? I do believe some developers are working on it, but they also have the quite tough time on this kind of land conversion or how to do it. So maybe we can shorten the development time. Then for for supply side, we are very fast. Yeah,
All
for
right.
any project we can finish delivery even in 1 month. Yeah,
All
so
right.
I think it's a problem. Yeah.
Okay, it's a good commitment from Trina Solar. Thank you, Elva. Chevy, what should government do so that we can have more solar installations?
Actually, the government has already all the policies, I think, for the investors to get attracted into our market. There's the RPS, there's the GOP, there's WESM. But I think what's missing is some push. I think maybe DOE should put a target. I think they have a target, but it's not being uh, implemented. So I think the more push, the more focus the government in the renewable energy sector, uh, it will drive the solar industry to a higher level in the Philippine market. But the market, I think there is available markets, but yeah, the push from the government should be there.
All right, thank you, Chevy. Ping, I know you're very familiar with the landscape. What do you think should the government do, especially
So
with elections next year?
I'll answer it in two ways. One, sort of like an immediate band-aid, not band-aid, but short-term quick win. I would think in removing the net metering cap really helps accelerate solar adoption, because one thing, if more people order for rooftop solar, that allows the likes of Trina to lower their prices, there's more volume, then more people are able to afford solar, right? And removing net metering, like Robert said, the demand is growing. In fact, if my data is correct, since 2015, residential has always been the largest consumption base, and it's just really accelerated even higher because of the pandemic. And I don't think this is going away soon. So a lot of the demand is actually could be served through that residential segment. Second, like Chevy said, the policies should be there. We have a robust RE law. We have, like your work in NRFJ, we did a lot of follow through on those, but it's the implementation. And I would use sort of like the digitalization team to address that, because it's not so much as policy, isn't there? But private players are eager to invest if it's clear, right? What you can't invest in is if the risks of like not knowing something, if the plan isn't gonna translate into actual steps for the business. And digitalization of the process, and EVA starts on this, right? But there should be a better, I guess, a more robust implementation of this, involve other departments, permits for land, data on land titles. If you digitize a lot of this information, that really helps business owners and developers. And on a side note, on a personal venture, we're also launching this website. It's called yuda.com.ph, where it's essentially for retail consumers to look at information about solar, learn more about the industry. And it's that education push that we want to bring down to everyone, so that at least more people are talking about it. And as we go into this more digitized space, people can go online, maybe see Spectrum's logo there eventually, and like, oh, I like to order from them, and then read reviews. So there's going to be a rethink also on how we involve more people into the industry.
All right, thank you, Ping. And of course, Robert, you have to call me very soon, because we need to start getting those solar panels installed finally, so I can serve as your model for the others. Robert, with all your experience, especially being the pioneer in solar rooftop system, what do you think should government do to make sure that you can install more solar panels?
Okay. Since PPAs, power purchase agreements, is really a trend right now, especially for the large consumers, the factories, the commercial, industrial market. And in fairness to government, they have made a lot of improvements already with EVOS and streamlining the process in getting the service contracts, solar energy operating contracts. But I believe that there is still a lot of room for improvement. And Attorney Jay, I think you are also an advocate of this. The current framework is designed for a utility scale developer project, but there is a lot of opportunity for solar rooftop projects. Unfortunately, the current process as well as the regulatory requirements in getting such service contracts or operating contracts are still skewed toward a utility scale developer perspective or standpoint. But if government can craft a process and streamline the requirements specifically for commercial projects, then I think this will speed up adoption of solar in the market.
All right, fully agree with you, Robert, and with Ping and the others, of course, we've been pushing hard, particularly to remove that 100 kilowatt cap. All right, well, I wish to thank the members of the panel. Thank you for your time, and it's been a great experience. Always not enough time, right? I see a lot of questions. Maybe Shihan, next time you can do another session. There's a big question here about the 2 gigawatt RE auction, which from day one, as I have said, will not work. Which until now, the rules, the guidelines are not clear yet. They're still discussing it. But maybe someday you can have another session. Just shout out to those who asked their questions. We will forward them to the proper person who can answer that. Nicolas Penuela, Brian Chang, Suyin Loke, and the others. So thank you to our panel members. And of course, Shihan, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. J, for your great moderation of this panel, and thanks everyone for bringing us such a great discussion and the information sharing. And thanks all again for joining today's webinar, and we appreciate our speakers' great support and valuable comments for this market. We will share the recordings and the PowerPoint slides used of today's webinar to your registration email by the end of next week. And should you have any other questions, please also feel free to contact our team through the email address showing on the slides right now. And also, please make sure to follow Solar Talks webinar on LinkedIn, and so that you can get the first-hand webinar update information from us. And thanks all again, and see you next time.